Moving to Idaho? Be prepared and don't let Idaho catch you by surprise. Here are 10 things newcomers don't always expect. Being unprepared for these can sometimes lead to problems. Number 1, not everyone realizes that alcohol laws vary widely from state to state and even from city to city within a state. Newcomers always seem surprised that Idaho has fairly strict laws governing the sale, serving, and drinking of alcohol. For example, you can't buy a product with greater than 16% alcohol content at supermarkets or at Costco. Only beer and wine are available there. Hard liquor is only sold at state-licensed liquor stores or served in bars and restaurants with a liquor license. Idaho has open container laws too, as well as laws prohibiting the sale of certain proofs of alcohol like Everclear. Fun fact, in Idaho, the alcohol in your stomach counts as alcohol in your possession. So technically, you could be fined for having a beer right before going to your kid's high school basketball game, since alcohol possession is prohibited on school property. Number 2, probably the biggest surprise for newcomers is our highly variable winter weather. Unless the newcomers are from a state like Minnesota, where dealing with winter weather is a normal part of life. As I'm filming this video, it's January, and we've had a lot of snow this month. There's been a steady stream of complaints on social media and next door from newcomers who are surprised that the city or the county or the highway district doesn't plow or salt the roads as often as these folks expect. They've been shocked to find that residential neighborhoods are dead last in line when it comes to snow plowing, and that we don't use salt on our roads all that often. Instead, Idaho drivers are expected to slow down, take it easy on corners, and don't tailgate. Neither four-wheel drive nor all-wheel drive is going to keep you from spinning off the road in icy or packed snow conditions if you're going too fast. And please watch out for snow plows. They're big, dangerous, and they can blind a driver by throwing up snow on your windshield when you least expect it. Expect the snow plows to create a berm, that's a pile of snow, at the end of your driveway when they finally do come to your neighborhood. And guess what? It's your job to shovel away the berm so that you can access your driveway. The snowplow drivers simply don't have time to get down out of their plow and do that for you. Also, don't put snow in the streets, and make sure that the drains in the streets and the gutters are kept clear of snow. When it starts to melt, you'll need to have those clear. Keep all snow on your own property or on what we call the street strip between the sidewalk and the street if you have one. Not shoveling your sidewalk and the foot of your driveway is a violation of city code throughout the entire Treasure Valley, as well as a liability for you personally with your homeowner's insurance. Oh, and if you have a dog, be careful. Don't let your dog eat ice melt, salt, or snow that may have been contaminated with salt or ice melt. Your pup can get pretty sick if they do. Surprise number 3. We are not just the nation's biggest grower of potatoes. Yes, we do grow 1/3 of all U.S. potatoes on 300,000 acres of land. But did you know that Idaho also produces a huge crop of wheat, of all things, with almost half of the crop being sold overseas? It's one of Idaho's top exports. Wheat is Idaho's second largest crop. And don't forget sugar beets. We're second in the nation for sugar beet production, with more than 850 farms growing sugar beets. The largest sugar beet factory in the U.S. is in Paul, Idaho. If you've never smelled a working sugar beet factory, I'll be happy to take you to one if you visit Idaho. There's one over in Nampa. It's not a smell that you will soon forget. Idaho also leads the nation in dry pea and lentil production, and Idaho has some of the world's best seed companies. I bet you didn't know that we ship seeds to 120 countries around the world. Now can you see why respecting agriculture and farmers is such an important part of the Idaho way of life? Number 4. On the other hand, we don't run around in cowboy boots and cowboy hats unless we're actually working as cowboys or cowgirls. Here in Idaho, cowboy hats and boots aren't a fashion statement. They're workwear, although they do look pretty cool. All right, Idaho shock number 5. So I'm a realtor here with John L. Scott Real Estate in Boise, and I hear potential buyers complain about this one all the time. Namely, housing prices are a lot higher than they expected. While there are still plenty of places in the U.S. where you can sell a house and use the money to come buy a home in Idaho and still have money left over, maybe even a lot of money, those places are becoming less and less common than they once were, as Idaho's own housing prices have soared. Starting in about 2020, they went way up. Rents are also a lot higher than out-of-staters expect, although they did go down a little bit over the course of 2023. So please do your research before moving. One of the top 5 reasons why new residents leave Idaho after a few years is the cost of living and the cost of housing in particular. I'm always happy to answer questions about the Idaho housing market, so feel free to shoot me an email or a text, give me a call, whatever is your preferred method of communication. Number 6 also has to do with the cost of living in Idaho. We traditionally have some of the highest gasoline prices in the nation. We always have had. It's nothing new. There's no crude oil found in Idaho, and we don't have any refineries. So we are entirely dependent on other states for our gasoline supplies, leading to Idaho almost always being in the top 10 most expensive U.S. states for gasoline. That's not a gigantic difference. I mean, we're not Hawaii, where gas is usually at least $1 a gallon more than in the continental U.S., but we are always well above the national average. This shouldn't be a deal breaker for someone wanting to move here, but it's worth knowing so that you can plan your budget. Reason number 7. On a more cheerful note, Idaho finally got its first In-N-Out burger on December 12, 2023, right here in Meridian. This was the 400th In-N-Out burger restaurant nationwide. The reception from Idahoans was very welcoming, and the restaurant has been doing a booming business ever since. The franchise is now talking about a second and third location here in the Treasure Valley. There's lots of arguing in online forums as to whether or not In-N-Out is worth the long lines and the long waits. I guess time will tell. I haven't tried their burgers yet myself, and I won't until there aren't any lines. And yes, that means some people tell me I will never be able to try their burgers because they say there will always be long lines at In-N-Out Burger. We'll see. Okay, Idaho surprise number 8. Now you might be surprised by some of the foods besides potatoes that Idaho is famous for, and probably the best known is finger steaks and fry sauce. The finger steak was invented by Idahoan Milo Bybee and served at his Torch Lounge in Boise beginning in the late 1950s. Strips of beefsteak are trimmed into finger-length pieces, breaded or battered, and then deep fried, and then served with French fries and fry sauce. It's the quintessential Idaho fast casual food. It's hearty, full of flavor, easy to eat. Every town across southern Idaho has a local restaurant or drive-in that claims to make the best finger steaks and fry sauce in town, if not in the entire state. Well, what's fry sauce? It's more than just 2 parts mayo and 1 part ketchup, although you can certainly keep it that simple, and some people do. Lots of add-ins can be used depending on the chef, but some common additions include a little sugar, or maybe a lot of sugar, some paprika, mustard powder, maybe onion powder, vinegar, Worcestershire sauce. Finger steaks are definitely popular in my state. Idaho-based B&D Foods sells 600 pounds of frozen breaded finger steaks to restaurants throughout Idaho over the course of the year, and that's just to restaurants. When you're visiting Idaho, be sure to ask the locals who makes the best finger steaks in town and give them a try. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, please subscribe to my channel, give it a like or a thumbs up, and leave a comment. Thanks. Number 9. Another weirdly surprising Idaho food is the Idaho Spud Bar. It's a candy bar invented more than a century ago here at Boise's Idaho Candy Company. But no, it doesn't contain any potato. Instead, the Spud Bar is supposed to look a bit like a potato. It's a potato-shaped mound of cocoa-flavored marshmallow dipped in chocolate and then in coconut. I am not entirely sure what the coconut is supposed to resemble, and I don't even want to guess. But needless to say, if you don't like coconut, you're not going to be crazy about Idaho Spud Bars. But you can try the same company's Oahe Butter Toffee instead, as long as you have strong teeth. It's delicious but very, very crunchy. The Idaho Candy Company has been making their Oahe Butter Toffee for 100 years. The company is still located in the same downtown Boise factory where it's been since 1909. And yep, you can still walk right in the door of the factory and buy a delicious bit of Idaho food history. So please do check it out if you come to Boise. Finally, number 10, you can't carry a firearm on an airplane in Idaho, loaded or not, and regardless of whether or not you have a concealed carry permit. Now, that's actually true at all United States airports. It's a federal offense, but we seem to get people moving to Idaho who think that we've got different rules here. We don't. So don't do it. The number of confiscated weapons found in carry-on luggage at the Boise airport seems to go up and up each year, despite the fact that there are signs all over the airport reminding passengers that it's a federal law and that the fines are really high. I think it's like $5,000. There were 47 firearms confiscations at Idaho airports in 2023. The TSA also confiscated a realistic replica of a rocket-propelled grenade, a hatchet, and a bunch of ninja throwing stars, so no one can accuse us Idahoans of lacking imagination. I hope you learned a little something about my beautiful home state in this video. Stay tuned for part 2, and thanks for watching.